Hi there. Thanks very much, Charles. Yeah, I've done a deep dive into the agenda behind weight loss jabs. They're being hailed by the media and others as a panacea for all society's ills, and there are growing calls for these products to be rolled out widely to the UK public. So just to give some background, you've probably heard of Ozempic, which is produced by Novo Nordisk. This has been around since 2017 as a treatment for type 2 diabetes, but it can only be used off-label for weight loss in the UK. So a higher dose of the same drug, semaglutide, is called Wegovy, and this was authorised in 2021 for weight loss. Then at the end of last year, Eli Lilly's Mounjaro was approved by NICE for a phased rollout on the NHS to obese people with a BMI of over 35 plus one related comorbidity. So 3.4 million people in England are eligible for the jabs, and the NHS is hoping to reach about 300,000 of them in the first 3 years of the rollout. Both Wegovy and Mounjaro are injected weekly, and Saxenda is a similar drug but requires daily injections. These drugs cost the NHS about £150 a month per eligible person, and it's estimated that another 1.5 million people are buying them privately from clinics, supermarkets and online pharmacies. And this is costing people £200 to £300 a month. So this is big business. So looking at how they work, they're powerful drugs with multiple modes of action. They promote rapid and often dramatic weight loss of up to 20% of body weight. They suppress appetite. They delay stomach emptying so you feel full for longer. They also act on the pancreas and liver to stabilize blood sugar. But worryingly, the weight lost is not just fat. It's also bone and healthy muscle mass, which has serious long-term implications for health and aging. And as with all drugs, the jabs have side effects, and some of these are very serious. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea. But more serious side effects include gallbladder and kidney damage and depression. Then pancreatitis and gastroparesis can be life-threatening, and studies are now suggesting an increased risk of thyroid cancer. So the last couple of decades, we've seen an increased public acceptance to take drugs like statins for life as a health prevention measure. This has created the climate for a lucrative market for pharma to produce preventative drugs to be taken repeatedly by healthy people, promising better life, longer life, better health, claims of reducing the risk of serious and common diseases that people fear the most, such as heart disease, cancer, and dementia. And of course, the biggest winners in this scenario are the pharmaceutical companies, who will have a high guaranteed long-term income stream. So I wanted to talk about wild claims for weight loss jabs, which began at the end of last summer. In July 2024, there was an observational study from Oxford University published in The Lancet, which was widely reported, claiming that Ozempic could cure depression and cut the risk of dementia by half. Then, at the end of August 2024, there was a rash of headlines across the mainstream media in perfect harmony, all claiming that Ozempic could be a fountain of youth by slowing down aging, the elixir of life. Then in January this year, we saw more sensational headlines, claims that Wegovy and Mounjaro could reduce the risk of up to 42 conditions. Then at the beginning of May this year came an extraordinary week-long push of pharma propaganda for the jabs across the mainstream media. And so I put together some slides. I think you can see the first one there, showing some of the Telegraph headlines that week. So if we could just go back to the 9th. These headlines were mirrored most days in The Guardian and other newspapers. So on the 9th of May, there were claims that the jabs would be a game changer for the economy, saving $5 billion a year by boosting productivity. But this study was based on government modelling, so say no more. Then May the 10th brought reports that the jabs could effortlessly reduce alcohol cravings. May the 11th, we were treated to the exciting news that these miracles of science could also treat anxiety and depression, apparently disproving earlier concerns that the jabs actually increase the risk of suicidal behaviour and psychiatric hospital admissions. In case you weren't persuaded by now that you should start these miracle jabs immediately, on May the 12th, we read that weight loss jabs may halve the risk of cancer. But they had saved the best till last. The Telegraph headline on May the 13th hailed the fact that everyone, whether obese or not, could live longer on these jabs, leading to a golden age of medicine, halving deaths from multiple diseases by preventing heart disease, cancer, liver and kidney disorders, and even dementia. This incredible news was accompanied with inevitable calls for the NHS to roll out the jabs at scale. Although a telling quote came from Catherine Jenner from the Obesity Health Alliance, who admitted that pharma is investing heavily in obesity because they, quotes, recognise the scale of the opportunity. We were reassured that there are 150 new injections and pills in the pipeline to help people who are neither overweight nor obese. So up to this point, there was almost no mention of side effects or any issues with these new drugs. Then, on May the 14th, came the admission that when patients stop weight loss drugs, they rapidly regain the weight within months. But this was spun as a demand for the NHS to drop its 2-year limit prescribing policy and instead prescribe the jabs for life to reap the benefits. If this is sounding too good to be true, you are correct. Every single media report failed to mention the ongoing class action Ozempic lawsuit in the US, which is currently at over 1,800 claimants and includes Mounjaro, Wegovy, and Saxenda. Legal cases are being brought against Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly for failure to warn patients of the risk of gastroparesis and ileus, or about a potential link with blood clots and a condition that causes blindness. Gastroparesis, or paralysis of the stomach, is very serious. It may be irreversible even after stopping the jabs. Victims are left with constant nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, reflux, bloating, severe dehydration. Their food doesn't digest. They have nutritional deficiencies, blood sugar instability, severe weight loss, and a very poor quality of life. It is a psychologically devastating condition. Every meal is a battleground with the loss of the pleasure of eating and the stress of trying to maintain adequate nourishment, and there is no known cure. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, Ozempic face is another well-known side effect. An aged, haggard appearance now being treated by cosmetic clinics with fillers. You couldn't write it. So where was all this pharma marketing propaganda in the media reports coming from? Every article cited the European Congress on Obesity, which was held in Malaga from the 11th to the 14th of May this year. The Telegraph and Guardian had sent their health correspondents to Malaga to cover the conference. So I decided to do some digging into who runs and funds this conference, which was the 32nd Congress on Obesity, held by the European Association for the Study of Obesity, who are known as ESO. So the screenshot that's on your screen from the Congress website shows that Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly are two of the major sponsors of this conference, confirming my suspicions that this was a pharma marketing event, a glossy shop window and vehicle for their scientific papers to be released to the media with maximum coverage and minimum scrutiny. And who are ESO, the European Association for the Study of Obesity, who run these annual conferences? Well, from their website, I learned that they are a charity established in 1986 as a federation of professional membership associations from 38 countries. They claim to be Europe's leading voice of obesity, science, medicine, and community. They are in formal relations with the WHO and are actively involved in EU Commission initiatives, including scientific consultations and obesity education across Europe, a powerful influence on national policies. And who funds ESO? You've guessed it. The top corporate members on their website are Lilly and Novo Nordisk. And they also say that ESO is currently engaged in project partnerships with Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly and Pfizer, and receives support from the Novo Nordisk Foundation to award 5 research grants. I then discovered that the UK government had announced a partnership with Eli Lilly at the end of last year, stating that this public-private collaboration aims to set the stage for government to work with industry to trial innovative approaches to treating obesity, and includes a 5-year trial called Surmount Real UK to evaluate the long-term safety and efficacy of Mounjaro. So with all this industry and media lobbying to roll out weight loss jabs to millions, what's next? So my last few slides show a relentless push from all sides to get more and more of the population taking weight loss medications. Big Pharma has its sights on exploiting this untapped and highly lucrative market. The WHO recently indicated that they may endorse the use of weight loss jabs to treat obesity in adults. Their new guidelines on treating obesity are due in August and are expected to include calls to increase access to the jabs in low and middle income countries. And another WHO team is even looking at adding these jabs to their essential medications list. Then organisations such as the Blair Institute are joining the clamour, with a call this month for the NHS to speed up the rollout of fat jabs by sending them in the post to half the adult population by using digital first methods, which is their word for online health screening. Only 3 days ago, NHS Medical Director Professor Sir Stephen Powis called for a mass rollout of weight loss jabs like statins. And alongside the rollout of the fat jabs, new weight loss pills are being developed, presumably to reach those who find the idea of injections unpalatable. Disturbingly, but predictably, Big Pharma has obese children in their sights as a cash cow. The use of weight loss jabs in children was presented in Malaga as a neat solution to mealtime rows with families. And in true Big Brother style, the NHS has just announced a sinister plan to give out bathroom scales to families with overweight children, enabling the state to monitor children's weight remotely. Initially sold as a nudge for healthy habits, it is not hard to imagine weight loss jabs for children being rolled out in the not too distant future. So to conclude, are we sleepwalking into another public health disaster? Rolling out novel drugs with no long-term safety data to millions of people without proper informed consent. Overplaying benefits, underplaying risks, and failing to address more natural solutions for obesity, such as dietary and lifestyle modifications. Sold as a quick fix for a complex problem and creating a generation of people who will need regular injections for life just to maintain a normal weight. And all boosting the coffers of Big Pharma with a steady stream of taxpayers' money while doing nothing to improve public health.